So, being isolated for as long as I was, to the extent that I was, to say the least, very abnormal for any young child to go through and experience. It has definitely had a lot of negative consequences that are so far lifelong lasting. When I was 4 years old was when I lost mom. At 5 years old was when I was court ordered to go live with dad's parents. And everything in life just went downhill from there. I was very quickly not allowed to talk or ask about anyone on mom's side of the family because mom was the one that passed away. I don't know why. I really don't have any answers as to why things went the way that they did. But grandma was very abusive. She loved to beat the fuck out of me with a wooden spoon. And she left me covered in bruises, and my oldest sister had pointed that out. And then I never got to see them after that. Never got to see her or my other sister. And this has been over 20 years ago since I've seen them last. And it has definitely been hard on me, for sure. Being isolated the way that I was not just sheltered as some kids have been through their life. I was isolated. I was not really allowed to have any friends, any kind of a social life. What little bit that I did have here and there, different parts in my life, I'm surprised that I even had that much. I was in public school from first grade until about the middle of 7th grade, and that was when I was pulled out of public school and started doing homeschooling. I later found out, several years later, that after going to the school that I was doing these online classes through, I went to the school itself and asked the gal that was working at the office there, why was I enrolled here for this? And she told me that what she was told by grandma was that I was in a car accident. And I was in complete shock. Like, what car accident? I mean, I know I have trouble with memory, but I was never in a car accident that I know of. Let alone something that would cause me to not be able to walk or attend school or anything like that. So my big question is, why? But I will only ever get the answer to that if grandma herself would honestly tell me, which I already know is not gonna happen. I had a very, very limited social life outside of anything school related. There was one girl that lived down the road, and her and I got along really well. We just weren't allowed to see each other very often, and I have a feeling that she was dealing with very, very similar things in her household that was happening to me in mine. She had mentioned things about her mother, or at least her mother figure, getting drunk and throwing her across the room. And I can believe it, coming from, the kind of person that her mother figure was. I could see that happening. There also was at a different point in time, I was friends with another girl that lived down the road a ways, and grandpa was actually friends with this girl's uncle or grandpa or however they were related. And I spent the night with her one time that I was able to, and the one time that we spent together, she was having me do things to her that I don't know that I should get into very deep details on, but essentially she was showing me what she was seeing in her household, or what was being done to her or something along those lines, and I don't know for sure exactly what was happening, and I haven't seen her for, well, a lot of years, probably about 20 years now since I've seen her, so I don't know for sure what was happening, but apparently it was very common in that area where I grew up for the same thing to be happening to a lot of young girls. Throughout all of my childhood, pretty much the first 20 years of my life, my closest friends were actually animals, because I could get along with them, I could talk to them, and I could be with them. It was something other than just being by myself or only around Grandpa. And with Grandpa being the main abuser, he was the one that brainwashed me from the very beginning when I was 5, telling me that this is all normal. Everything that I experience in life from then on is normal. That's how life is supposed to be. This is what everyone does, but it's taboo that no one ever talks about it. So I was brainwashed at a very early age that, well, all this is normal and I can't talk about it to anyone. So I didn't think anything of it because I was so young and so impressionable that that's what I knew. That's all that I knew, and that's what I've known for the first 20 years of my life. So getting out of there and trying to reverse that brain damage and the psychological damage, everything that was done has been very, very difficult. Not impossible, but just very difficult. And which, leaving me with a lot of difficulties with different things on a lot of different levels. And one of them being having difficulties with organizing thoughts and ideas and trying to get things to come out verbally that I want to come out the way that I want at the times that I want. I was never really allowed to see anyone. I mean, I barely even got to see my own dad. And I was told all the time that Dad didn't have time for me. He was too busy with his motorbike and his friends and all this, and that he didn't want me around. And that Grandpa was the only one that did. He was the only person that was out. He was telling me all the time that no one else wants to be around me, but he does because he cares about me and he loves me, and no one else does, which is why no one else is ever around, which is why I never hear anything from anyone, let alone on Mom's side of the family. So, still to this day, trying to reverse that damage has been very, very difficult. So, in some of my videos, they might seem a little off track, or I might sound like I'm getting off topic. I don't mean to do that. It's just that's part of the aftermath of the damages that were done upon keeping me isolated to such an extent and never allowing me to get out and talk to anyone else. Further educating myself on how to communicate with others. So that's one of the big places I have a lot of trouble with, is communicating with other people, because I don't know how to, mainly because I wasn't taught how to and I was kept from doing so.